Alright guys, TacticalRab here again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Shotzzy getting very open and honest on stream over the last couple of days about the current situation at OpTic, but also how things could have been very different indeed had events over the last few years transpired in a different way. Had Scump decided not to come back as he did for the start of the Modern Warfare 2 season, Shotzzy would maybe still be on FaZe to the present day. Shotzzy even says that at times, after what happened that year, he was considering, damn, did I make the wrong call? Now though, he sees it in a different light, and Scump says, look, I saved this league from FaZe complete domination, although maybe things aren't too much different with Drazah in the team today. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Starting here, these are the Los Angeles Thieves cards. Remarkable to think about that this team somehow didn't even come close to winning the event. Scrap is a 99 again, who is surprised, like, you know, there's just absolutely no surprise there at all. But also HyDra with a 99 card as well. Both of them were sensational this stage. I will say, their run of online qualifiers, they did not play the most impressive teams. I mean, look, they played some pretty good teams, but it wasn't the most difficult run ever. I don't think they played FaZe this run, for example. They go to the major, beat by Boston, and then get knocked out of the tournament later on by Toronto Ultra. Not the result they were looking for. Like, a good stage for all the players in some regard. I mean, the fact that Ghosty has a purple stat, ticks per round in control, Scrap has 3 purple stats, HyDra has 1, Envoy has 2, is pretty mega, actually. And even the fact that in control, the guys seemingly had exactly the same damage percent. Maybe it's a slight mistake, whatever. The bottom line is, these guys were on fire online and didn't translate it. I think the pressure, now is when the pressure starts to really rise, because I think after the first major of the season, these guys, they lost Game 7, Round 11 to FaZe. It's like, oh, well, we're right there, new team, you know, next event we're going to get them, right? And especially because their qualifiers were so dominant, it was very much expected. Scrappy has been putting up 99 cards just like this for fun for the last couple of years. And how many titles has he won? You know, a couple, but not that many. Well, 2, says at the top of the screen, and no World Championships as it stands. Scrap's going to have to start delivering some results because, you know, he is going to get what you might call the Dashy treatment, where people are like, well, yeah, great stats, mate, but where's the ring, right? And I'm sure Scrap recognises that himself as well. So I think this is a very important rest of the season for Scrappy and this entire team because, you know, the pressure is rising externally and also internally, and also I imagine from the likes of Nadeshot as well. This team is too good to be delivering 4th place at the most recent major, and, you know, my opinion is the reason for them not winning is not in the hands, as it were. Like, the talent is clearly there. It's more up in their head in terms of the mental game that they were not necessarily bringing the way that they should have done to the big tournament in Dallas. So an important stage for Thieves upcoming, because this team is intended to beat FaZe, and you can't have FaZe winning everything on a year, especially when you're dropping cards like these in the online qualifiers. I mean, this is for the entire stage, but, you know, mostly these stats are from the qualifiers, and then not delivering when it comes to a LAN environment. Speaking of HyDra and Envoy as well, they do both appear on our SMG Pyramid. I'm not sure I really like what they put together, what the boys put together here. Like, I want to put Snoopy on it somewhere, right? Like, I've got to find room for Snoopy somewhere. You know, maybe Snoopy instead of Real or something. I don't really know. Maybe Snoopy could even be higher. Probably that's a little bit difficult to justify. But, yeah, what do you guys think? Because who are the top 5 SMGs in the game right now? Very difficult to determine. Simp, I think you give him number 1. JoeDeceives has got to be right there, maybe number 2. I think Neptune's probably number 3, maybe. I mean, look, you don't want to, like, downgrade aBeZy too much, because obviously the teams are winning everything. And, you know, HyDra and Envoy, they've both been great. I mean, HyDra, yeah, obviously at the major, I think JoeDeceives definitely took that one from him. Estriel's been good. Kremp's been super consistent. Gwinn goes down 1. But, yeah, if you had to put together a top 5, kind of not considering team results, you would probably throw, I don't know if you'd quite put Snoopy in there, but he'd be on the borderline anyway. I think it'd definitely be Simp, JoeDeceives, Neptune, HyDra, probably +1. In terms of, like, talent and everything, then sure, Shotzzy would be on there, but Shotzi's not even on the list right now because he's not been playing very well, and the team has not been looking so good. And of course, Prid's not on the list either. Prid, though, still seems to be in good spirits, right? Like, we're pretty sure the Falcons deal is going to be happening, of course, and there was quite a lot of talk about this lately, and also some talk about potentially his new SMG duo. If it is going to be Xnid, how is that going to work? Over the last couple of days, we've seen Xnid play a fair bit of COD. Here he is in some 8s, of course, playing, you know, speaking English, comming in English, teaming with these guys, gunning down Envoy and Skies in this clip here. And look, X's a pretty cracked out player. I do hope that Kix can come back. It's a shame that he, you know, if he's not able to come back, it would be a real shame, I think, just because, you know, obviously the guy's talented, and if it was possible for Falcons to have two of those guys, Xnid and Kix, and you bring in Pred, somebody else, you know, maybe it would have been a nicer conclusion to the Saudi project. But yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on with Kix, because he's still playing COD, but he's back out there in Saudi Arabia. But Xnid shooting straight. If the Pred duo actually does happen, how's it going to work? Look, I'm not sure they're necessarily always going to be on the same page, but Xnid's going to have to take the hyper-aggressive sub-role, which I think that he can do particularly well. How well it works with Pred, how well drilled Priestahh, you know, manages to get that team, because, you know, I said it on the show the other day, but I would love to be a fly on the wall with Clay and Pred in some discussions after, let's say, they have a difficult scrim. I'd love to see what that would look like, just because, you know, I'm sure that there are going to be some disagreements between the pair of them in due course. And that's fine. You've got to have disagreements to make the team win. But I can certainly see that being entertaining, right, to say at the very least. This I thought was pretty interesting from Neptune. Obviously, I wanted to share this clip here in a second. You guys remember this infamous trash talk? I think we were, where were we? Were we in this booth or the next one? The OpTic guys were very grateful to give us access to a suite. I think this was our suite. Maybe it was the next one over. I can't remember. 217. It might have been this one. But yeah, I think I was sitting right there somewhere anyway, watching this actually go down. And it always cracks me up watching the way that Neptune's arm talks trash at Beans. Neptune actually explained what was going on here, going through his head anyway in this moment. And pretty much saying that, yeah, he was just so tired. And even Nastie said that to me at the after party as well, that he felt like the Surge guys kind of just ran out of steam, like they hit a wall. He thinks that Surge, well, he knows that Surge, and they proved it, to be fair, earlier on in the winners finals, right, when they, you know, played FaZe Game 5 Round 11. They had more in the tank than they showed in the finals. Well, as in, they were better than they showed in the finals. They were just really tired. And Neptune says that when he was doing this track shot to Beans, he was pretty shattered at this point of the tournament. And then they went on to beat those guys and then had to play FaZe in a best of 7, which was, yeah, it was by that point maybe a bit beyond them in terms of making the run, because they just played so many series and so much COD, especially after the FaZe earlier series was such a grueler. So, you know, Surge think that the 4-0 finals doesn't necessarily represent them and like how good they could be in those circumstances. They just, you know, felt like external factors got the better of them in that moment. But that's something that you end up learning and figuring out when you play many of these big tournaments and make deep runs that those guys are not necessarily especially used to making in recent COD history. But I wanted to show a couple of clips here on Shotzzy, because I know that I've mentioned this a couple of times in the last couple of years, and people often say, oh, you know, where are you getting that from? Like, you know, Shotzzy was never going to join FaZe and all this. But Shotzzy says it with his own tongue that if the situation a couple of years ago didn't transpire as it did, he would likely still be a FaZe player today. So just to explain the lore behind this, after the Vanguard year, when OpTic won the first event of the season in Texas, Scump was thinking about retiring from Call of Duty. He then decided, you know what, he's not going to do that. He actually is going to come back and they're going to run back that team again for Modern Warfare 2. The team was going to potentially at some point be Scump, with Shotzzy, with HyDra there, with Cammy as well was the other name that they were considering, because, you know, Dashy and Illy were potentially going to be out of the team. There was then discussion from Shotzzy too about how, well, Scump wasn't so sure. Once he decided that he was going to come back, he was like, well, you know, do I want to leave Dashy? That seems a bit unfair. But if we bring Dashy back, maybe we're going to need Illy. And then the HyDra thing never happened. Ronnie gets roasted for saying that it was 95%. We know the rest. But Scump was going to retire then. He then said, you know what, actually, you know, I will come back and I will compete for this season. And then one stage in, all the drama happened with Dashy and Rambo. You know, Scump decided, I've had enough of this, I'm going to be out of here. Despite announcing that he was going to retire at the start of the year, at the end of the season, that, you know, he said he was going to give it one more year and then he was going to go. He gave it basically one more month before the circumstances of the team kind of forced him out. Now, could Scump have kept playing? Sure. You know, he was good enough to, he is good enough to today, no doubt about that. But Shotzzy then says when that was happening, he was in some conversations with FaZe, and FaZe would have taken him if the opportunity arose. Just to keep in mind, that would have been for their 4th player, right? So instead of getting Slasher, and as they did that year, and then of course Drazah since then, it would have been Simp, aBeZy, Cell, with Shotzzy as presumably aBeZy's SMG partner, with Simp going to the flex and Cellium on the main. That would have been the team. It would have been a very scary team, and it would have made the league pretty challenging to beat them.
Is Scump retired too early? Fuck yeah. Hell yeah, retired, bro. What? Bro, he himself tell you that. But I don't blame him, dude, to be honest, because, like, the year that we had, like, in Vanguard, it was pretty AIDS. And then, like, he just saw the opportunity to, like, give up his spot to Brandon. He was like, fuck it. And then not only that, like, he's just doing better in general. His mental, his streaming. Like, everything made sense, bro, to be honest, for Seth to retire. Yeah, if he had, like, a set team, like, a set roster that knew there was no changes, then he would play 100%. But obviously in the moment, like, we were making so many changes to where, like, he was just like, fuck this shit. Yeah, isn't it kind of crazy? If he didn't come back, I was literally joining FaZe. Now, I'm not gonna lie, chat. I'm not gonna lie. Whenever he retired and I was stuck in, like, that situation, I was like, holy shit. I should have joined FaZe. But I'm glad I didn't, low-key. Like, what year was that? That was what, Vanguard? Yeah, there was Vanguard. Because then I think afterwards, like, it was gonna be. I remember we had a Paco too. It was gonna be me, Paco, and then I forgot who our fourth was gonna be. Me, Paco, Seth, and someone. But then, now this is what happened. Seth second guessed, bro. He was like, "Yo, like, we sure we should leave Brandon?" I was like, "Fuck." I was like, "If we play with Brandon, we gotta play with Ender." And then that's how that came about. Yeah, isn't it kind of crazy? If he didn't come back, I was literally joining FaZe.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, chat. I'm not gonna lie. Whenever he retired and I was stuck in, like, that situation,
You're welcome.
I was like, holy shit. I should have joined.
We'll
FaZe.
play that one back.
So many changes to where,
We'll
like,
play that one back so you guys really.
like, fuck this shit. Yeah, isn't it kind of crazy? If he didn't come back, I was literally joining FaZe.
Imagine if Shotzzy went to fucking FaZe. Oh my god.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, chat. I'm not gonna lie. Whenever he
We'd be
retired
fucked. We'd be fucked. Everyone would be fucked.
and I was stuck in, like, that situation.
So Scump saying, look, listen to this. I deserve the credit for coming back, making sure that Shotzzy didn't leave. And it's funny that Shotzzy said that after Scump then retired 1 month later, and of course FaZe already had their team locked up at that point by Slash and were looking pretty good, Shotzzy was like, well, damn, maybe I could have gone to FaZe, maybe I should have done after all. But in the end, it all worked out, right? And Scump made the decision. He came back. He kept Shotzzy on the team as a result. Then they went on to form a team that won the World Championship the following year. So it all kind of worked out. And nowadays, I don't think that Shotzzy is going to leave OpTic unless the situation is really difficult to fathom. I mean, look, Shotzzy wants to win at the end of the day. FaZe are winning everything right now. Would FaZe drop Drazah for Shotzzy right now? Like, if you could have them snap their fingers, would they do it? They're currently winning everything. I mean, it would be difficult to pass up the opportunity of getting a talent like Shotzzy, but I know that many people have been criticising his play as of recent, saying that, well, he's not been on form, which is obviously true, but I don't think that discounts the fact. I think there's a bit of recency bias in people underrating how good Shotzzy actually is and why he's such an important piece of OpTic, not just their team, but also their culture, and from a, you know, production perspective, from a content side, Shotzzy is the new Scump in many regards. And maybe Scump and OpTic knew that when Shotzzy was considering his options a couple of years ago. Keeping him on the team has been massively important. And maybe it'll be a similar situation in the future where Shotzzy needs to, well, OpTic need to make sure they keep all the Shotzzy, because I don't think they can really afford him to leave in many respects, especially because, look, Dashy is, I wouldn't say getting towards the end of his career, because I hope that he's got many more years left in him, but he is, you know, 25, 26. He's been competing, Dashy, since 2017. He's had like 8 years in the league. Dashy may not be around, you know, for too much longer. He certainly can't be the face of the team forever. Shotzzy potentially could. Pred could have done, but now he's gone. So if you're OpTic, really, Shotzzy has to be the guy that you keep hold of forever if you possibly can. And, you know, part of that means you let him do what he wants with the give him the keys, and that seems to be how things are right now. So very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Just wanted to say a few words really on Pharaoh, because a couple of days ago was his birthday. I know that many of you guys won't have watched Pharaoh compete back in the day before his untimely passing. This is one of his Lion Man cards from back in the day, and people have been trying to find a modern player to compare Pharaoh to kind of give a picture of how talented and special this guy was. And I kind of like the comparison on Sib, actually. I don't know what you guys think who actually watched Pharaoh compete back in the day, but I think in many ways, you know, he is kind of like Sib in terms of his like flashiness and his ability, but, you know, with better search and destroy, to be fair, and better sniping as well. So yeah, what a player. Rest in peace. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Honestly, bro, I definitely lost some aura because of the shit talk. It was just because, I ain't gonna lie, bro, we had played so much that day. I was honestly tired as fuck. I started talking shit. I was like, hold on, bro. I need to catch my breath or something. Need to get some water. I got y'all though next time. I'm gonna just beat people, bro, and just like not even react. Maybe that's the type of vibe I need to go for. It's like no shit talking, just straight fist bumps. That's it. Straight fist bumping the other team, and I'm out.